Hello everyone, my name is C88 and welcome to episode 20 of the Refurbished Logo Evolution series. Today, we're taking a look at the logos of the oldest film studio in Japan. I'm talking about Shochiku. Shochiku was founded in 1895, but they didn't start making films until 1920. Their first logo was in 1929. We have, in total, 23 logos to look at today, so this will be the longest refurbished logo evolution so far. You'll understand why Shochiku has so many logos in a bit. Their first logo is this. Most of their logos don't have a nickname, but I came up with nicknames for all of them. I've called this logo the Brick Wall, and it was only used in 1929. It being from 1929 means no animation and no music. In fact, most of Shochiku's logos have no music at all, so you'll be hearing a lot of background music today. The logo itself is fine, albeit boring. The next logo is this. I've called it the Archer and it was only used in 1930. Can you spot the pattern yet? This one is scarier because of the darker background. You can barely see the archer itself. Shochiku's third logo is this. I've called it the City in the Man, and it was only used in 1931. Because of the dark atmosphere, you can barely see the city, and I only noticed the giant man in the corner whilst writing this video's script. Luckily, the company's fourth logo is a bit brighter. It looks like this. I've called it the Figure and the Lion, and guess what year it's from? There is a variant where the logo looks slightly different. The 1932 text is in a different style, for example. The stuff that is featured in Shochiku's logos are interesting and original, like what other huge company uses a lion in their oh yeah, right. The logo that Shochiku brought to the table in 1933 was this. I've called it the Ornate Decorations. There is a version which, again, is slightly different. The decorations and the Japanese lettering is different. Can I ask, why does every logo so far contain the date of the year? As if someone watching this in a cinema forgot what year they're in. Anyway, we've entered 1934, and this time, Shochiku decided to include an eagle in their logo, creating this. You can probably guess the nickname I gave it. I like this logo because of how bold and big they made the eagle, although the national bird for Japan is the green pheasant, not an eagle. How do I know that? Well, I researched it. Anyway, the next logo is this one. This is the first logo to have been used for longer than a year. It's called the Warrior, and it was used from 1935 to 1936. I have two variants. One says 1935, and one says 1936. Up next is the first logo to ever contain a mountain. Shochiku's 8th logo is this. It's called their very original Mount Fuji, and it was only seen in 1936. This logo was immediately improved, and this logo followed. It's called Mount Fuji 2, and it was used from 1936 to around 1940. Finally, some animation, although it's not entirely significant. This was the late 30s, so animation in logos wouldn't have been common. Mount Fuji will return later. They improved the animation capabilities with their next logo. I've called it the spinning paper, and it was used from 1937 to 1943 and from 1945 to 46. Not bad for its time. The paper fan or wheel or whatever you want to call it spins quite fluidly. What's next? Let's have a look. Oh, it's another mountain one. Shochiku's running out of ideas it seems. Anyway, the 11th logo is this one. I've called it Mount Fuji 3 and it was used from 43 to 44. This one does not have any animation considering that the previous two logos did, so it's more of a downgrade here. Shochiku seem to have been running out of ideas. They've had 3 logos containing Mount Fuji so far. What's next, a bouquet of flowers or something? Well, you're right. In 1947, Shochiku invented this logo. I've called it the bouquet, I know, so original, and it was used from 1947 to, well, 1947. It's not too bad, but it just seems a bit too dark to me. You can barely see the year date, not that you would need to because you should be able to figure out what year you're in. They upgraded this logo the following year, making this. I've called it the Bouquet 2, and it was only used in 1948. There are 4 versions with each one containing different music. They all animate the same. One version has some calm music, one consists of a clock tower chime, one has some sort of jump scare like music, and one version sounds like it contains Japanese instruments. The animation is alright, although the Shochiku symbol zooming out is a bit cheesy, but this was 1948. In 1949, Shochiku found out what Universal was doing and they decided that they needed a globe in their next logo, and so they made this. I've called it the Shochiku globe, and it was used from 49 to 1950. There was a slightly different version used in 1950. The style of the Japanese letters are different and the font for the year text is different. You could say it's kind of more creative than what Universal had at the time, because the Universal International logo only had the globe spinning. This Shochiku logo has the globe spinning and zooming in. They decided to get themselves another globe logo in 1951 and made this. It's called the Shochiku Globe 2, and it was only seen in 1951 as expected. There is a version where the globe does not stop spinning, although it's quite difficult to tell. Not a bad effort for 1951, although I like the 1949 to 1951 more. In 1951, Shochiku decided to bring back their mountain idea, and they've kept that the same ever since. This is their longest used logo. It looks like this. It's called Mount Fuji 4 and it was used until 1980, so that's 29 years. I have 5 variants. 2 are the same as before but in colour. And 3 versions were produced in grand scope, which is basically the Japanese version of CinemaScope. One version is in black and white. And the other 2 are in colour. One has the grand scope text in white, and one has the grand scope text in orange. Nice effects for its time. This logo is very popular amongst Japanese film fans. They updated this logo in 1980, making this. It's called Mount Fuji 5 and it was used until 1993. It's good for 1980, but I wish a bit more effort was put into this. Well, they did put more effort in what came next, which was this. It's called Mount Fuji 6, and it was used from 1993 to 2003. The only major differences are the zooming in onto the mountain and that the word Shochiku in English is seen at the bottom of the screen. Again, it's alright. But in 2003, they wanted to improve on their mountain idea exponentially, and they decided to create what would become my favourite logo from Shochiku. This. There are some nicknames for this logo on the COG Wiki, but to keep things in line, I've called it Mount Fuji 7. It was used until 2014. This is a very professional piece of work for 2003. I wish that they kept this logo going or they improved on it. My only complaint is that it doesn't have any music. If it had music, it would be perfect. In 2005, Shochiku celebrated their 110th birthday, so they made this logo just for that year. This logo is not on the COG Wiki, but I've called it Mount Fuji 8. Weird how there isn't a logo celebrating their 100th anniversary, but there is one for their 110th and for their 120th birthday. We'll get into the 120th one in a minute. Up next is an unused logo created for Shochiku. It looks like this. I've called it Mount Fuji 9 and it was made in 2014. There is a blue version. Beautiful CGI. I honestly wouldn't mind Shochiku using this, but unfortunately they didn't. They instead made this. It's called Mount Fuji 10 and it has been in use since 2015. This logo consists of a good mix of live action and CGI, very impressed for 2015. But again, music. I wish there was some set music for this. It seems like there would be. Now we get to the last logo from Shochiku, the 120th birthday one. It looks like this. It's called Mount Fuji 11 and it was only used in 2015. It's a good logo, although I don't get why there wasn't a 100th anniversary logo. It seems more significant. Maybe there is, but we just haven't found it yet. Well, that's the end of Shochiku. It was a fun and a very interesting journey considering what their old logos contained. Thank you very much for watching this video, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye!